Live from New York, this is WIUR Radio.
Welcome back, everybody, to East Coast Ethos, where we talk all things basketball. Of course, I'm your host, John Dicakis. It's been a while. It's good to see you guys again. Today, it's March the 3rd. It's been almost a month, and we got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover, a lot of New York basketball, a lot of things going around in pro leagues in general. It's been a very eventful past month. You know, we've had snowstorms. We've had just a lot to cover in general. So let's get right into it. You know, no questions asked. To start, we got to talk about my Knicks, right? This is New York, baby. This is the central hub of basketball is New York City and the East Coast. So let's talk about my New York Knicks. So we're gonna start with the 19th of February. The Knicks play the Pistons at Madison Square Garden. The score, just to start, is 126 to 111. The Knicks fall to the Pistons for the third time in the NBA 2025 to 2026 regular season. Now, you might be asking, why are they doing this? How are they losing so much in the regular season to the Detroit Pistons, a team that we cleared in the first round last year? Well, let's get into it. For starters, they had no Jalen Duren, right? So already down a big man. They had no Beef Stew, no Isaiah Stewart, two big men down. So we're going into this game thinking Cat, Mitch is going to make quick work of them. Some of our forwards are young guys like Muhammad Diawara. You know, he's a stud. OG, like these bigger players that we got, they could shoot, they could play two-way, they could rebound, they could defend. But that just wasn't the case. So Cade had a 42-point game, just trading blows with Jalen Brunson, our star point guard. Jalen Brunson goes off for 33 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. Jalen Brunson was on a mission. This was a revenge game for these past 2 regular season games in Detroit at home. But you know what? Cade came back with more. Playing floor general, 42-point game, good efficiency. Usually that's a big critique of his. His efficiency isn't the greatest, but you know what? He showed up tonight. You got to give it to him. He's arguably a top 5 player in the league right now. It's, of course, debatable, but with the 65-game regulations that are in the NBA as of a few years ago, some of our usual MVP candidates in the ladder may not even qualify. You got to play at least 65 games in the regular season to qualify for regular season awards. And people in the likes of Jokic, Giannis, and Shea may not even qualify. So we're still waiting to see how many more games they have to play to qualify for that award. If they don't, some strong contenders are people like Cade Cunningham on the Pistons, right? Just 3 years ago, they were the bottom seed, now the first seed. You know, people like Jaylen Brown, who had low expectations going into this year. Can he lead a team? Can the Celtics go far without their number one option, presumably? Now, Jaylen Brown being the number one option, having one of the best, most efficient years of his career without Jason Tatum, who is shortly coming back. And just another highlight to talk about this game. I mean, it was a disaster for New York, honestly. It truly was. Going into the half, I believe they were down 10 points. It wasn't too big of a deficit. You can come back from 10-point deficits like that. We've done it in the past, and you'll see shortly that we've done it recently as well. But in this 15-point loss to the Pistons at home, it's brutal because you got Paul Reed coming off of like the second, third string, coming off the bench and making quick work of Cat and Mitchell Robinson, who are miles better than a guy like Paul Reed, even though he's a good glass cleaner, you know, second chance efforts all around. He was scoring at 18 points, seven rebounds in 29 minutes. That's really efficient. You got to give it to him, but the Knicks just did not deliver, man. They just couldn't keep up. They couldn't get any stops. You can say that it's their physicality, their grit, but I don't know. There's just too much up in the air about that right now. The Celtics' main issue from last year was that they were a great three-point shooting team. Coach Mazzulla, coaches an incredible Celtics team in 2025 to lead them to a finals championship and since 2008. And They went all the way using that game plan, and they fell in the second round to New York using that same game plan. So this may be another Celtics situation. You never know. Cleared them in the first round, but if they get all the regular season wins against us this year, then hope is not lost. Hope is not lost. Now, going on to the Knicks playing the Houston Rockets at Madison Square Garden again, at home, electrifying crowd on February 21st. The score falls to 108 106. New York. New York wins that game. Katie starts off rocky, very inefficient, very inconsistent. He's had issues to start the season with play calling and last second efforts when it comes to scores coming down to the wire, right? And this is no different. He finished with 30 points, 10 of 26 from the field, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. And not to mention the KD files. A lot of rumors going around of an alleged account under the guise of it being Kevin Durant starting group chats and talking about his teammates. Now, whether it's true or not, nobody really knows. He's denied it outright. But we know Kevin Durant to have a history in social media, talking smack, basically having beef with people online, fans, players alike. It doesn't really matter. He wants to smoke with anybody, And we also know KD to be the type of personality who doesn't voice their opinions on the court, right? You'll see them on social media. You'll see them in press conferences. He's usually quiet. And that's one of the biggest detriments that comes with KD's character that people have criticized him for. And it's hard to take a non-biased approach to this because you see what happens in the media and you say, maybe that was him, but maybe it wasn't. Nobody truly knows. But what we do know is he was talking badly about the plays ran for Şengün, taking the last shots and down to the wire games, like we mentioned, Jabari Smith Jr. Being lost on the court, essentially, just among many other things. But the Knicks overcome an 18-point deficit in the fourth quarter to win 108 to 106. They were down 18 points going into the fourth, 12 minutes left. Jalen Brunson, bang. Karl-Anthony Towns, bang. Jose Alvarado, steals, defensive efforts. Mikal Bridges, OG, Josh Hart, hustle, grit, rebounding. You can't make that up, man. They got outplayed. Cat is finally finding his role with the Mike Brown system. He had 25 points, 10 for 15 from the field, 3 for 3 from three-point shooting percentage, and 7 rebounds against an oversized Houston team. They got about 3 or 4 guys who are like 6'10 and taller. They got a huge team. But that's actually one of their biggest issues is that they don't have a floor general like they would in Fred VanVleet if you were to start the season. But unfortunately, he went down with a season-ending injury in training camp. And Brunson and OG had a 20 ball. Obviously doesn't help Houston's case. Alvarado, again, key defensive plays and elite playmaking to finish the game at the end. And our next game that we're going to talk about is the Bulls game against the Knicks. The Knicks won 105 to, the Knicks won 105 to 99 in Chicago. I don't think there's really much to talk about there. It's kind of a depleted Bulls team. It's ran through Josh Giddey. They lost Vucevic. They got Mark Williams now, but there's just not much to cover there. So I want to skip over that to something more important, is a potential playoffs rematch from 2022 against the Cavs. The Knicks played the Cleveland Cavaliers at Rocket Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, and they lost 94 to 109. It's an ugly game. It was an ugly game for both the Knicks and the Cavaliers. No one could get an offensive rhythm, and especially not New York in the third quarter. 16 New York turnovers. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. This is a professional team going in with finals aspirations. And I get it, it's the regular season. Whatever. It happens. But this is a team who we should have their number for. Like, we should have their number in our phone books, easy, written off, done. Like, whether regular season or playoffs, it shouldn't come to that. At least give us a close game. Give us some hustle, some effort. Nothing was falling in the third quarter. Nothing. The 3 ball wasn't going down, despite shooting 37 shots from beyond the arc. And of course, we know Mike Brown. He loves to shoot the 3 ball. That's what he wants for the team. We have great 3-point shooters. Started the season being a top 5 3-point shooting team. And Mitch, I want to say, though, That is the X factor for a team like that. A team that has the former defensive player of the year in Evan Mobley, that has a great glass cleaning, rim protecting big in Jared Allen, but they're just not dogs. They're just not dogs. They don't have it like a Mitchell Robinson has it, who plays like a 90s big, in the Jordan era, in the Patrick Ewing era. Obviously, I'm not comparing these figures to Mitchell Robinson, but it's the play style. And in the 2022 playoffs, we saw that. He was a nightmare for them. Of course, they didn't have Evan Mobley. Definitely didn't have the defensive player of the year at the time, but they had a good front court. He out rebounded, out blocked, and out defended their big men in 2022. Second chance points, an interior presence, reminiscent of a 90s big man. And you could say that was 3 years ago. Things change, but it's the NBA. Player only the elite of the elite players really change their craft like that. They refine it in the way that like a Giannis does, or like a Shea, or a Jokic who's averaging a triple double. It's very rare you see players like that change too much unless they're rookies or they're younger. But I don't know. We'll see come playoffs. They're currently the 4th seed at 38 and 24, while New York is sitting at the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference standings with 39 and 22 on their plate. As of today, March 3rd, if the season were to end today, we'd be up against the Philadelphia 76ers, showing us a beautiful rematch from the 2023 Eastern Conference Round 1 playoffs, where they fell to New York 4-2. Excuse me. What a riveting matchup. What an exciting time to be alive, watching New York basketball thrive, playing against a neighboring East Coast team like in Philly. Fans flooding the stadiums, going to Sixers games. Joel Embiid with the infamous tackle to Mitchell Robinson. Josh Hart and JB fighting over the ball with Tyrese Maxey on the floor. The second chance effort from Hartenstein back in the day, like 3 years ago, back in the day, to DiVincenzo for a second 3-point shot to seal the game. Like, those are the moments that we Knicks fans live for. So to see that again, to have two electric teams like that, I would personally like to see that in the first round, or at least the second. Now, skipping over the Bucks game on the 27th, another depleted team. Giannis is injured. Doc Rivers is just not coaching the best. And their team's second best player is Miles Turner. Miles Turner. I don't think there's much to talk about there. The Knicks win 127-98. Nothing to talk about. Now, this is the game that I've really been wanting to touch on. All right. The Knicks play the San Antonio Spurs at Madison Square Garden in a 114-89 blowout. Now, let's get some background here. The Spurs are the 2 seed in the Western Conference, only behind the Oklahoma City Thunder, former defending champs of the 2025 NBA Finals against the Pacers, where they won in 7 games. The Spurs are the West's biggest hurdle to that ring. Not OKC. OKC has to go through them now. You could argue last year's a little bit more open, but they couldn't keep New York's tenacity in a packed home crowd. They couldn't keep them at bay. It was too difficult, even with the likes of Wemby, stud player, I believe 23 years old, 7'6", big man, shoots, playmaking, could dish out the ball, like rim protect. He could do it all, honestly. He could do it all. And I just want to point out, when everybody on the Knicks starting lineup gets going, they're really unstoppable. You just need Jalen Brunson and Cat to hit their averages, and the other guys like OG or Mikal, who could be an X factor in a game like that, where two of the top contending teams in both conferences are going head to head. So it's just showing us anybody could score when they feel like it. They don't always feel like it, and we see that often. We see that often. New York plays incredible basketball. It's so impressive. Sometimes they have high highs and very low lows. And our fan base is very indicative of that. The way that we, including me, we react to games like that. It shows us, like, It's really an exaggeration, to be honest, but I mean, with good reason. We've been brought up in hard times, and now we have good expectations. We have high expectations. So we expect the best from our team. We keep them accountable, so to speak. Of course, sometimes it gets extreme, but that being said, OG Anunoby, 12 points. Josh Hart, 10 points on 10 rebounds with a double double. Carl Anthony Towns, 12 points and 14 rebounds. Really doing his job. Not high scoring, but efficient. Mikal Bridges, 25 points, 10 for 17 from the field, and 5 for 9 from three. That's the X factor I'm talking about. If OG or Mikal Bridges steps up, that's an issue. That's an issue for a lot of teams. Now, the ball barely turned over. It barely turned over. That was one of the keys to the game. Mike Brown highlights this almost every game. Don't turn over the ball. Some of the highest scoring nights that teams have against us is when we turn the ball over. What's in common here between all these stats? Oh, and Jalen Brunson, 24 points and 7 assists, dishing out the ball. Good. When the ball moves, we win. So what's in common here? Efficiency, passing the ball. These are the keys to the game. They were connected on defense. Mikal had 5 steals. The ball barely turned over. Tenacious defense. Diawara, stud, younger guy, younger forward that we had that we've been looking for a while. As soon as we got rid of Precious, say, okay, who's going to replace that? Who's going to fill that role? Okay, we have Diawara. Let's give him some minutes under the new Mike Brown regime. They're calling him Mini Siakam. Mini Siakam, 14 points, 4 rebounds, a block, and a steal. Very impressive night from a younger guy like that who doesn't really get a lot of minutes, usually in garbage time, but he's been in the rotation lately. And what did the Spurs do wrong? Well, let's get into that. Well, Wemby, for starters, is around 7'6", might even be taller. You never know. He went 1 for 6 from 3. Your role as a big man, especially a big man as big as that, is to play exactly that role. Right? On defense, sit in the paint, right? You're not supposed to really be helping too much. Stand around the paint. On offense, get into the paint, drive to the basket. If they're doubling you, pass it out, right? Here's where the issue comes in. It was an inefficient shooting night for everybody, even when passing out the ball, even when Wemby couldn't handle the load all by himself. Vassell still had a good game. People like De'Aaron Fox did not. Some of the second and third options on the team, really underwhelming performances. Lack of rebounding and second chance efforts, big issue for the Spurs. The Knicks out-rebounded the Spurs 54 to 41, and they turned the ball over 22 times compared to the Knicks' 13 turnovers, which creates more points off turnovers on top of a bad scoring night. You can't pair together bad scoring, inefficient shooting, and a high number of turnovers. It's not going to work out for you. You're not going to win like that. And the Spurs, just to preface, beat the defending champs. They beat OKC multiple times. Everybody's talking about how that too big lineup can neutralize Wemby, right? But to really neutralize Wemby, in my opinion, you have to force him to either shoot or throw a guy who can help on him. Like if you have a Karl Anthony Towns, who many people know he's not a good defender, right? He's very subpar, if not below average. He's not a good defender. Let's just keep it at that. If you throw Cat on him, keep him on the side in the paint for rebounding, for boards, and you throw Mitch on the other side, you're going to have defense and rebounding. You're going to have something that can neutralize somebody like Wemby, who's 7'7", who could score basically anywhere, who could pass out whenever he wants. He's a freak of nature. You can't just stop that on a whim. And I don't think Hartenstein and a Chet Holmgren on OKC is going to be the duo to really stop Wemby, especially in a playoff setting. If they haven't done it in the regular season, they're not going to do it in the playoffs. But, teams make adjustments. We'll see. But the thing is, passing out, going back to that, if Wemby has to pass out and he can't be effective in the paint on any given night, playing against a team like the Knicks is a bad matchup for you. Not only can they shoot as well as they can, people like our newly acquired Jose Alvarado, even Sochan when he's getting minutes in the paint or playing along the weak side. But usually like Jose Alvarado, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby playing passing lanes. That's dangerous. You're not going to be able to pass out so easily when they're playing the passing lanes. Gives up a lot of turnovers. And that's our recap for the New York Knicks, who they've played in the past couple weeks. Just wanted to fill everybody in, maybe give some insight, my 2 cents on it. And I just want to get into my second segment here. We're going to be ranking NBA teams based on their categories in the NBA currently as of right now. And before we do that, we're going to go into an ad break and we'll be returning shortly.
Nobody does sports like WIUR Radio.
This is WIUR Radio.
Hi, this is Anthony Carlo, TV news reporter in New York City and proud alum. If you're looking for a career in media, Iona is the place to be. From internships to real-world experience, Iona's media program is unprecedented. Take it from an industry professional who made it in the biz.
Now back to WIUR, Iona University Radio.
Welcome back, y'all. Starting our second segment, we're going to be going on to Tier Maker. It's a website where you can basically rank any kind of sports team, any character, anything of your liking. You could create a tier list. You could even use a template. We're going to be using a template here. Well, that's been tweaked slightly for our liking. And we're going to be starting off with the highest tier, the highest, the S pluses, the best of the best, the contenders. Second to them, the pretenders, people who on paper look like they're going to make it far, but we all know they're not really going to make it too far. On the third tier, we're going to have vibes are immaculate, teams that are just having a great time. They're not necessarily going to make it super far, but you could see a future or you could see success in their near future, right? And then right below them, we have purgatory. These are teams that have been stuck in the play-in, that have been stuck just kind of suffering for a long time, aren't really making the necessary moves to move up. And finally, tanking. You know, we've had a recent issue with tanking in the NBA and a lot of pro sports, but that's a topic for another time. Now, let's get right into it. First, we have the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, we're going to speed through this. The Atlanta Hawks, we're going to put them in the vibes are immaculate. All right. They got people like Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, one-time All-Star starting this year, having a great year down in the A, down south. A lot of people are loving their team. You know, they got Kuminga recently, stud. Steve Kerr gave up a really good player. Celtics, I hate to do this, but we're going to put the Celtics in contenders. Jason Tatum's coming back. It's a little scary. I don't know what kind of drugs they put him on to heal up that ACL, but all right. Brooklyn Nets, tanking. Not much more to say. Tanking. Can you name one Nets player other than Michael Porter Jr.? I'm waiting. Anyways, the Hornets. We're going to put them in the vibes are immaculate. You know, you got Con Kneppel. You got guys like Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball. Like, they got a future. They got a future. Everybody, they have chemistry. It's just a fun team to watch. Chicago Bulls, purgatory. They gutted the team. Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to put them in pretenders with the recent acquisition of James Harden. I do think that puts them above a little bit. They went on a crazy win streak in the past couple of weeks in February, but I don't think it's sustainable. We all know James Harden doesn't show up, when it comes to the playoffs. Dallas Mavericks, even though they have some necessary assets there, we know that in the future they're going to be contenders again like they were, in 2025 when they had Luka and Kyrie starting for them. But right now they're tanking. They're trying to get another pick. Denver Nuggets. We're going for contenders. Say what you will about the Nuggets. Aaron Gordon's been out for a while, but Jamal Murray, first time being an All-Star. Triple-double machine. The Joker, Nikola Jokic. That team is not going to be easy to stop. Pistons. Now, I may be biased, but we're putting them in the pretenders. I think they're pretenders. I really don't think they have what it takes to make it to like a finals or even the third round. Honestly, they're not battle tested. Regular season, it tells you a lot, but it doesn't tell you the whole story. You're reading a chapter in a 20 chapter book. Now we're going to the Golden State Warriors. We're gonna go purgatory. They got some aging stars. Rockets, I would say pretenders. They got a great lineup, but they're missing that point guard, which they so desperately need. Pacers, tanking, not much more to say. Clippers, I would say right now, purgatory. Even with Kawhi, they lost Harden. They got Garland. It's just a weird team. I don't know. And we're just gonna speed through this, but Lakers, we're gonna put them in also purgatory, even with Luca. Grizzlies, purgatory. Miami Heat, we're gonna put them in purgatory. Plans. Bucks, we're gonna put in tanking. They're not getting out of that. They're not making the playoffs. Timberwolves, vibes are immaculate. New Orleans Pelicans, I would also say vibes are immaculate just because they got chemistry. Knicks, we're gonna put them in contenders. They're either gonna make it all the way or the third round. Hopefully all the way. OKC, definitely contenders. Those are the defending champs. Magic, purgatory. Sixers, purgatory. Suns, vibes are immaculate. They're doing phenomenal. Trailblazers, for now purgatory, even though they had a great start. Kings, tanking. If I had something below, I'd put them in there. Spurs, contenders. Raptors, vibes are immaculate, not necessarily pretenders, but Jazz, I'd put them in vibes are immaculate. They got a good squad now. And Wizards, I would put them in tanking because they are tanking, but they got a bright future as well. So that's my list. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of East Coast Ethos, where we talk all things basketball on the East Coast. And I'm your host, John Dekakis, live from WIUR Radio at Iona University in the Murphy Building. Thank you for lending your ear to me and allowing me to speak. And God bless you all. And I hope y'all have an incredible rest of your week. And keep watching them games. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.